Hi, I'm firearms attorney Gilbert Ambler, and we're back today because Vice President Harris has just chosen her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and he is, no surprises here, very anti-gun. But what we want to look at specifically are some of the anti-gun measures that he has implemented in Minnesota as governor, and how we might expect this to shape the Harris campaign moving forwards. But before we dive into this, if you have not yet hit that subscribe button, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, like, comment with your thoughts, and share with your friends. That way you and your friends can both keep getting this important Second Amendment related content. Alright, no surprise here, the Harris campaign was never going to be a friend to firearms. In fact, one of the potential running mates that she considered was reportedly Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, and if we know anything about Josh Shapiro, it's his apparent disdain for the Constitution, specifically when it comes to firearms. Of course, a lot of these candidates like to talk about how they want to protect constitutional rights, and then have no problem ignoring constitutional rights when it comes to firearm rights. Josh Shapiro definitely fell into that category, going after ghost guns repetitively during his time in Pennsylvania. Of course, he was not the one selected. Who was selected? Well, Tim Walz was selected from Minnesota, and I think one of the interesting things about this particular candidate is that he is, in my opinion, one of the more reprehensible sorts, in that he holds himself out as understanding gun ownership and understanding firearms. In fact, he says, I served in the military, I was a hunter, I did all of these things, and I know as much about guns as anybody else, and so you should trust me when I tell you it's constitutional to restrict firearms in certain ways. As I said, I find that to be the most reprehensible sort of gun owner. I like the Second Amendment, I respect the Second Amendment, but type gun owner that becomes a politician. So specifically, what did he do in Minnesota? Well, in Minnesota, he passed two anti-gun measures. The first was what they called their uniform background check law in Minnesota. Did have some exceptions, it appears, had some exceptions for transfers to family members, but generally forced the government to be a party in any firearms transaction. Secondly, and arguably more importantly, was his support for red flag laws. And the reason I find this very interesting is because this has currently been something that the Biden administration has attempted to push in a variety of ways. The Biden administration, of course, has produced funding and urged states to implement their own red flag laws by producing federal funding for them. If they implement red flag laws at the state level, Minnesota was one of those states passing red flag laws. And I thought it was very interesting because at the time that they passed red flag laws in Minnesota, they simultaneously outlawed no-knock warrants. So for dangerous criminals that are out there, no more no-knock warrants allowed. And I'll tell you, I'm sort of picking on this. Generally, as a criminal defense attorney, I think no-knock warrants are a bad thing and shouldn't be allowed. So that is, as a general principle, something I believe. But it's awfully ironic to, at the same time you ban no-knock warrants, authorize the police to show up and go into people's houses solely to take firearms from them and then leave those people in the home. And other times on this channel, we've talked about why red flag laws are so ridiculous. Keep in mind, they take guns away, but leave the person who's apparently a threat to themselves or others in place without getting them any help or getting them any treatment. And so it seems very clear that it is an anti-gunner's wish list because it's solely about firearms, not actually about helping people. So those are some of the things that he passed while in Minnesota. He's also shown support and come out saying, I would support an assault weapons ban. So we have that to look forwards to if the Harris ticket is unfortunately elected into the presidency. Okay, so why are we talking about this now? I think people need to know who the people that are running, because some of these people are going to come out and say, we support the Second Amendment. I think it's important that you take a deeper look and understand what they might do to the Second Amendment if elected. If you enjoyed this content, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Until next time.